Having a table spot every week for a Slim Jim sponsor is going to make table spots feel less special. Also, love the vids. Thank you. But are you telling me that you don't love the incessant pushing of sponsorships on WWE programming nowadays? No, surely not. And let me know your wrestling hot takes down in the comments below. It can be current day or it can be in history, and you'll have a chance of being in the next episode. Genuinely, the sponsorships are getting out of hand. Everywhere you look nowadays on WWE programming, there is a sponsor, there is an ad, it's like insane. And also, if that is the case where they're going to do table spots every week for the Slim Jim sponsorship, yeah, table spots are going to mean nothing. Somebody needs to call the Dudleys and get the tables to mean something again. What happened to the fireball ladder? Was that just a one-time thing? I do wonder though, how far is WWE going to take this sponsor thing? Like, where's the limit here? First off, more important and could have had way more potential. I agree. Speaking as someone that lived through that era where we had the anonymous Raw GM and then the reveal, I was disappointed as well. Because what do you mean all of those decisions were hornswoggle? What? And I just know for a fact that was one of those Vince McMahon decisions where he was like, this is gonna be hilarious. Ha 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 ha. Where's the funny, Vince? I predict you're gonna hit 190k subs. Keep up the good work. And you know, it'll be way easier to hit 190k if everybody that hasn't subscribed yet subscribes right now. Solo should win at Night of Champions. I'm sick of my GOAT losing. You know what? I agree. I mean, listen, he ain't my GOAT, but I love you, Solo, now. I've been really getting into Solo Sikoa again recently, as you all know. He has been really entertaining recently, and honestly, I wouldn't hate it if he beat Jacob. It's not one of those decisions where I'm gonna be like, why are they having Jacob lose? Because Jacob has looked so good that it's only going to add an extra dimension to the feud if he loses. Alternatively though, do I want to see an eventuality where it's Damian Priest against Solo Sikoa? Not really. Damian Priest is kind of just hovering around SmackDown nowadays. He just puts himself in segments. He's like, you know, I still got a shot at the United States Championship. So when you ready, me and R-Truth are going to go out drinking and I'm going to get a shot at that title. Okay. I'd also be really interested to know, would you guys like to see in the near future a live version of Wrestling Hot Takes? Let me know. Cross should squash Sammy at Night of Champions to get big heat from the Saudi crowd to kick off a push for him. Again, when it comes to Karrion Kross, I ain't going to say no. I want this to be the beginning of something big for him and Scarlett. God knows it has been a long time coming for both of them, and hopefully they don't do the worst possible decision here, which would be to have Karrion Kross lose and fall into obscurity and then eventually leave the WWE. I don't want to see that. Don't get me wrong, I want to see Sami Zayn finally do that World Heavyweight Championship, but at the same time, I feel like this has to be elevate Karrion, and then Sami can go up on his path, because it doesn't harm Sami to lose. I'll never forgive Goldberg for taking away the dream match of Angle and Brett. Ooh. On that note about dream matches and everything, apparently somewhere out there there's a vault clip, or maybe even the full match of Kurt Angle against Owen Hart, I think. And wherever that is, I need someone to find it. I need to see that. Kane was my favorite wrestler of all time. Was. And then you saw him go into politics and you were like, okay, I like someone else. Why at 6 are better off in NXT? This is going to be a controversial one, but low-key, I feel like it wouldn't hurt them to go back to NXT or go to NXT anyway for some of them. It's tough with the Wyatt 6, man. I really want to be a huge Wyatt 6 guy, but I just can't force it. It just feels like there's nothing there for them to really like go from or like chase, or like I don't want to see any of them with a championship. There's not really many dream matches for them to go for. Like it feels flat, and I don't really know what you can do to fix that outside of maybe getting Alexa involved. And I've already spoken before about how I want Alexa to go back to being the goddess, so I'm good on that. Ospreay versus Rollins is feeding families. You ain't wrong. And I believe there was a clip of Triple H referencing a superstar who didn't want to go to WWE because of the schedule. And it is such a damn shame that they didn't get Will Ospreay, because I feel like WWE for a long time has been crying out for a huge British champion.
Why did you take those comments from Triple H so personally? He didn't say your name.
Didn't say my name, but
why did you think he was talking about you specifically?
He was, and like I've got people that I won't throw under the bus and saying, yeah, it was about me. I won't throw anyone names under the bus, but it was about me. But like, I don't think it's like, I'm not taking it personally like, oh, that hurt my feelings. It's just kind of like, all right, you take a friendly jab at me, I'll take one back. There's nothing like horrible about it. Like, I don't hate the guy. Oh, I've never met him. How can I hate someone that I've never even met?
You didn't
like,
even talk to him?
No, I've never spoke to him. Oh, I have an agency to talk to everyone, and like I've told everybody about my situation and why I want to remain in the UK, which is why that like kind of like hurt me a little bit. But just like, not to the point where like it keeps me up at night. It's like, okay, you take a jab at me, I'll take one back, and then that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
They've got the caliber of Pete Dunne, who's just sitting on the sidelines or on main event cooking, but they don't really do anything. Tyler Bate is still incredibly young. They could have still done something. They had Wade Barrett, which they fumbled. Drew McIntyre isn't British, but he's kind of the closest we've got. You had Neville as well. If they would have done more with, you know, who Pac is right now, he could have been something as well. William Regal. I really feel like if one day Will Ospreay goes to WWE, he is going to be a huge star. And that's not taking away from anything that Will Ospreay does now, because he is already a huge star, but WWE and that platform, it's mainstream. It just gets you into a whole other crowd of an audience. And if more people knew about Will Ospreay and how good he is right now, it would be amazing. And I feel like if WrestleMania is ever going to be in London one of these times, then you need a big British superstar to build around for that main event. Keep Corey Graves on Raw. He makes it watchable. Send Pat to NXT. Love the vids. Well, thank you, but I disagree. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've really been liking Corey Graves on Raw recently, and Pat McAfee seemingly is just a little bit exhausted, so he's been gone for a few weeks with everything he's been doing. But at the same time, I really like having Pat McAfee and Michael Cole together on Raw. I just really enjoy their dynamic, and I feel like a lot of the time Pat McAfee gets way too much hate anyway. But at the same time, it is equally an interesting dynamic with the idea of Pat going down to NXT and experiencing all of those superstars, because Pat brings a very unique voice to the commentary table. What if WWE kept Chris Hero in the Shield? Ooh. Hot take, to be honest, this might be a normal take. I don't know. Cena should have cost Cody in the semi-final. You know, I'm gonna disagree on the Cena costing Cody front. I'm actually pretty excited now that I've thought about it for Cody versus Orton, even though I did kind of want Sammy versus Gunther at SummerSlam. But anyway, if Chris Hero was kept in the Shield, I really don't know if it would have become as big of a faction as it did. Don't get me wrong, Chris Hero was really good, but I feel like his WWE run overall was pretty disappointing. Outside of the sweet theme song, he didn't really do much, and he kind of started to let himself go a little bit. Whereas Roman Reigns was always going to be a star, it just took some nurturing. I feel like Seth and Dean still go on to become huge stars, but Chris Hero would eventually have gone back to the Indies and left WWE. WWE wasting 2 dream matches that would sell out the 2-night SummerSlam on the Saudi show that might not happen. It's not even like I'm necessarily trying to hate on Saudi Arabia. I just feel like the crowds don't ever give those dream matches the moments they truly deserve. For me, when it comes to professional wrestling, I'm super into it if the crowd is super into it. If you give me a really good match, but the crowd is sitting on their hands and they're moving around and they're not really popping for things they should be popping for, then it takes me out of the immersion of the match. I always thought that Sting versus The Undertaker would be a fire match to see, but we never got it. That is my dream match. I mean, that is a fire match. And we very nearly got it in 2011. When they were playing those vignettes at the start of 2011, there were a lot of people that thought that was Sting coming in to face Taker at WrestleMania 27. And honestly, the thought of WrestleMania 27 being that card and then just randomly having a banger Sting versus Taker match in the middle is kind of funny. Deonte DDJ is gonna take crowd of TKO tomorrow. You know what? Hell yeah. Announcing right now, DDJ Corp has bought TKO, and The Rock is fired. Oh, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour a lot of the budget into a Total Divas reboot. I think you already knew that. Survivor Series needs to go back to the traditional Raw versus SmackDown programming instead of War Games. It used to feel like a massive event which would have great matches between the best wrestlers on each brand fighting it out for brand supremacy. This is so difficult because I love War Games, but at the same time, I really like those prime Survivor Series where it's brand versus brand. It makes it feel so much bigger than it is. I even recently watched Survivor Series 2016's brand versus brand and 2017, and the whole Under Siege thing and the fantasy warfare, just the build around both of those matches was so good. Penta isn't buried. He had a pretty long match with one of the biggest names on the men's roster. Are people saying Penta's buried? I wasn't even aware of this. But no, not even remotely is Penta buried. If anything, he's one of the most over people on the roster, and he's consistently treated very well, so I wouldn't say buried at all. And also, that match with Braun Breaker was absolutely sensational this past week on Raw. Love your energy. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Finn pulling strings in the Judgment Day is really entertaining because of his personality. It's better than him being serious. Yeah, man, Finn recently has been so fun to watch. I don't think Cody or Jay should have been in King of the Ring because no matter what, they're still going to be big stars and they're going to get title opportunities whenever. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. I feel like the only argument of an already pre-established star that should have gone all the way in King of the Ring is Sami Zayn. You also could have made a bigger star out of the likes of Braun Breaker and Braun and Reed, if they were in King of the Ring, I think that would have been an interesting dynamic to see them fight for the world title while Seth still has the briefcase, you know? WWE is trying to manufacture an underdog Sami Zayn, but it doesn't feel organic like Daniel Bryan or Kofi. It feels forced. What? We're talking about the same Sami Zayn, right? Like the underdog from the underground. Seth's solo promos kinda suck. It's hard to stay in tune. He's best when against someone, you know? Painfully, I agree. And I absolutely hate to say it about Seth Rollins, but time after time, he gets into these positions where he is the guy for a spell, and he just doesn't feel like the guy. For me, it's kind of become blatantly obvious that Seth works much better as the antagonist than the protagonist.